and welcome back to Sarcastic Living. We are going to be doing a little different video this time. We're going to be doing Christian girls react to Girl Defined. Girl Defined is a YouTube channel that really does a lot of talk on dating and marriage and purity and all the loaded subjects. Basically what it comes down to is we agree with some of the stuff they say, and we also strongly disagree with some of the stuff they say. But because we've seen reaction videos from people who are not Christians, either a lot of people who are former Christians or like they've abandoned Christianity, or people who just straight up were never Christians reacting to this channel, and it ends up being very biased and skewed. So we thought this would be a pretty cool way to do it and maybe fill a niche that isn't there currently. So
like anyone's gonna see this.
Right. But we're gonna react. We've never seen this video. Cassie and I've watched a few of Girl Defined's videos in the past, but the video we're gonna be reacting to is called How to Think Clearly When You're Totally Infatuated.
Mostly I'm just curious, what the heck is this gonna be?
None of us are currently totally infatuated, so we are operating...
Totally.
Huh? Totally what?
Totally.
Don't go there. So, we're going to be reacting. We will link the full video.
Although I would hope you would be infatuated with your secret boyfriend.
We
Although
will...
not necessarily.
Age. We will link... Stop talking! We will link the full video in the description so that you can go watch their video on your own if you want to. But I think that's all we had to say before we get started. Are we ready to begin?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get started.
Hey, it's Kristen and Bethany here with Girl Defined Ministries, and in today's vlog, we're going to be talking about how to think clearly when you're totally infatuated.
So first question, how is this a vlog?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I'm no YouTube expert, but isn't a vlog where you go around and kind of show your day and or something?
Yeah.
Like they're just sitting talking. It's not a vlog, it's a video.
A video
just
log.
like this.
It's like in stuff you...
We're going to try not to be too overly critical.
But I mean...
I'm sure they mean well. Okay.
So there was a time when I was in a relationship, and I can say for sure that I was not thinking clearly. I honestly didn't realize that I was totally infatuated. I thought that I had all my brains in my head, but to everyone around, it was like, wow, Bethany's in a serious case of infatuation.
So, y'all can feel free to pause too.
I can relate.
First off, I know in our conversations, we tend to recognize that when you get into a relationship, you're probably gonna be having hormone stuff going on that's going to make you not think clearly. So to recognize that is an important step.
Experience with this.
Right. But we're kind of, like, that's the mindset in that, you know, rely on your family and your friends to give you feedback on, okay, what is this guy actually looking like to you? Because I'm not going to be thinking clearly. So kind of what she's saying there, except we realize it before we get there. Well before.
And she is not listening to any outside wisdom or input. She just thinks this guy is amazing. Basically like a modern day William Wallace. Everything he did was just perfect.
William Wallace.
Who's William Wallace?
An old English dude, I think. Like in English.
Who's William Wallace? Comment below if you do.
Hand me my phone. I think I know who it is. He's like a statesman in England, I think. I could be wrong.
William what? But that
William
one, so
Wallace.
You're infatuated with William Wallace?
Yeah,
This
I don't
feels,
know.
is he an actor?
Weird.
No, but that's modern day.
William Wallace.
William Wallace.
I'm gonna be ashamed of myself if I don't know this, and he's a historical figure.
I don't know. Sir William Wallace, Scottish knight.
Yeah.
Oh, so a knight. That makes sense, but...
Yep.
One of the main
Scottish
leaders.
Knight became one of the main leaders during the First War of Scottish Independence.
Oh, I remember William Wallace.
Is there like a movie based off him? Probably.
I don't know.
I
I just
don't know.
remember it from last year's history.
Yes, the duck.
Subject of literary works by Sir Walter Scott and Jane Porter, and the Academy Award-winning film Braveheart.
Ah, yeah, Braveheart.
Never seen.
That would be it.
Oh.
I want to see Braveheart. It might be rated R.
I remember that from history.
Probably.
Okay, moving on.
And to the people around, they were saying like, okay, hey Bethany, we see an issue here, or we see a red flag here, like, what do you think about that? And I clearly remember just being so infatuated that I remember even Kristen looking at her and telling her like, you're just trying to ruin my life. You just...
So, listen to
Wouldn't that be
advice
a
of people you trust. That would be the solution to
Wouldn't
this
that be a
problem,
sign
right?
That you're infatuated. That because.
But that's the premise of the video, is that how to think clearly when you're infatuated.
Well,
But
yeah,
my
but
argument is you can't
you
think
can't.
clearly.
You just
Trust.
to be wise when you're
Yeah.
not thinking clearly is to listen to what other people say, not
Exactly.
to just try your hardest to think clearly. Oh.
I'm gonna be mad if that's what they come to and they have an 8-minute video about it.
Yeah.
that I was just so infatuated, so all about my feelings, head over heels for this guy. And it really did take me about 2 solid years to kind of come out of that and actually think with a normal brain and see clearly and finally look around at my family and say, hey, actually, I think what y'all were saying was true and now I can see it and I think I need to end this relationship because I don't think we're the best match after all.
Too little, too late, I'm thinking. A year and a half?
Jeez. That's a serious relationship at that point.
Yeah, you would think.
My family's looking around going, well, we kind of were saying the same thing the whole time. So because I experienced such a hard case of infatuation, I figured, there's probably some of you out there who have either experienced infatuation or are going to in the future, and we want to equip you to deal with it.
So I have totally been infatuated as well. I can absolutely relate, and even though at that time I was trying to give you wisdom, I've had plenty of my own cases of infatuation where you were trying to give me wisdom, and that's how infatuation...
Huh?
Their voices are annoying. I'm sorry.
Our voices are probably annoying to people too.
Well, yeah, but we're not screaming at the
Obnoxious.
camera. It's like,
Not all
does
the time.
does your energy have to be at high, absolute top notch, no matter what you're saying?
It's YouTube, you have to be excited.
But what exactly is infatuation? If we had to break it down and define infatuation, what exactly is it? We love this description from Gary Thomas. We just love the way he puts it. He says, the way many researchers describe this brain state, infatuation, overall, is an idealization of the one you love, or the one you're crushing on. You focus on the strengths, many of which might be imaginary, and are blind to the weaknesses, many of which are readily apparent to outside observers. You idealize this person to make them the kind of person you want them to be. It should be clear that when you're in this state, you're in no position to make an objective choice if you rely on your feelings.
So don't rely on your feelings. Why is that complicated? This is a very complicated definition of hormones.
The hormone ride of a century, according to Blimey Cow.
Yep. We could do reactive line and counter units.
That'd be good.
That would be good.
When we're in that state of infatuation, to not rely on our feelings for guidance or wisdom, but to welcome outside wisdom. So,
Which is what we've been saying for 5 minutes now. If they...
This is where they're gonna end up, which is honorable that they ended up
We
in
agree
this.
with that.
Give you 4 practical tips to help you deal with your infatuation.
Ah.
Tip
Numbered
number
list.
1 is welcome outside wisdom and input. Just
made
like
it!
I was rejecting it at that
So
time.
bad.
I was like, no, you're just trying to ruin my life. Actually ask people, say, hey, can you give me input? Can you give me wisdom? Because I'm not going to see clearly and I need someone from the outside to give me good advice.
Good thing about being in this family is you do not have to ask for input. Anyway.
We literally have no experience with this. I don't know if
We've
our
had
family's
input
gonna
on
give input.
imaginary
Oh, our family will give input.
I'm pretty sure
Our
we
family
would.
will
Yeah,
definitely
obviously.
give input. I will give
None of us
input.
have been in a situation where we've been.
Which is
dating
why
someone.
it's so fun to react to this video from the perspective of zero experience. Anyway.
and number 2, make a list of personal boundaries. This is so important to do right now while you're thinking clearly. Because like we've been saying, when you're in that relationship or you're in that state of liking someone and you start losing your brains because you're infatuated, all of those things that you once thought, oh, these are good boundaries I should have, well, guess what? They all go out the window because you're not thinking clearly. So right now, while you're in a good state of mind, we want to encourage you and challenge you to come up to even write down a list of solid boundaries and convictions that you have that are based on God's word that you want to stick to. So for example,
Right.
It's pretty simple to remember, though.
But yeah, that's not those things all going out the window. That's your resolve and your desire to do what is right going out the window. And if you've got a relationship with a guy who's willing to push you beyond what is right, he's not a good guy.
You're
not the only problem.
Be a buffer against an attack of your boundaries.
And
you're both supposed to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it should be something, maybe not in a casual relationship, but, you know, as you start getting a little more serious, it should be something you talk about.
Yes.
And sometimes a compromise is fun.
Right.
Like,
you
for
need
me,
to have
kissing before serious, I don't really care. That's fine, but I may end up dating someone who wants to not kiss, so that's fine too.
right. There are boundaries. You should have your hard boundaries that are like,
Yes.
this will not
Non-negotiables.
happen. This is a non-negotiable. And then you can have your preferences, but like you just said, in a relationship, it should be both parties coming and forming boundaries that will also form unity in your relationship and help keep you accountable, because you're sharing your boundaries rather than having different sets of boundaries and different expectations. So, yeah. It's not just you, it's a two-way street.
Yes.
example, some obvious ones might be like, I want to save sex for marriage. I see that clearly laid out in God's word. That's a boundary that I want to stick to. Or maybe you take it further and you say, you know, I don't want to kiss until my wedding day. Maybe that's a boundary you...
I want to kiss
That's a little
before my
crazy
wedding
in my
day.
opinion. If you want to do that, more power to you. But
I do not.
I don't want to have my first kiss be in
Imagine
front of a
the
bunch of
TLC
people. No.
horrors.
Or I know it might be tempting if I'm totally alone with a guy in his apartment. That's a boundary I don't want to cross.
Or maybe
It's probably a
don't
good
be.
boundary.
Yes, that is a boundary.
Don't
that
be alone with a guy in his apartment.
Yeah.
That's, putting yourself in a situation that's too tempting. And there's no accountability.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe an obvious one like marrying a non-Christian guy. You commit and say, I will not marry a non-Christian guy.
How about don't date a non?
So
get
you don't, if you
So
don't,
you set that boundary in your dating relationship, like, okay, I'm not gonna marry you.
every dating
until
relationship
you become a Christian.
is either going to end in a breakup or marriage. Or death. I like to add that one.
It's still a breakup.
It is, technically. But the point is, if you're infatuated with a guy as a non-Christian, cut it out.
Yeah. Stop.
Stop it.
Pretty
You can't-
simple.
Don't date a non-Christian if you're not going
Nothing
to marry a
wrong with
non-Christian.
seeing a
Doesn't make any
non-Christian
sense.
saying, "Oh, he's cute,"
Right.
but if it goes beyond that, stop.
Yeah. And you have control over that. Go figure.
Just those are some examples of some boundaries that you can set right now in your mind. Write them down so one day when you're infatuated, you can refer back to those and go, okay, those are good guidelines. Those are things that I need to stick to.
And number 3, ask someone to keep you accountable.
So, if your boundaries you've had in your head fly out the window when you're infatuated, how are boundaries
You're going to
you've
go
had
back and
written
read the
down?
ones you wrote in your journal 4 years ago. Yeah. If writing them down helps you to delineate them, like if it's something you haven't thought about, sit down and write them down.
But you should have already thought that.
Hopefully. But not everybody, I don't know.
But imagine if you have this wise older woman who you meet with every Monday morning and she's going to sit across from you and say, hey, Kristen, what about this? What about this? These are your boundaries.
Yeah.
How's it going with this?
I don't know what to
should
think
have
about
a
that.
conversation.
It is important to have older women that you respect, or other women. I have older women that I don't respect, and I have women my age that I do respect. And I have older women I respect, and I have women my age I don't respect. So having, regardless of age, having people who are well-grounded in God's Word and have your best interest in mind, who are around and willing to give you advice. But having a regular Monday morning meeting with them, that might be excessive. It's a good idea in principle. I
There's
don't
nothing
know
wrong
that
with
it's...
having a mentor.
You should have somebody who's a mentor that's willing to give you advice. But it shouldn't be... Yeah,
don't
that
think there's
seems a
anything
little
intrinsically wrong
too
with it.
controlling to me on the
Right.
surface. And also, don't give up your personal responsibility in this matter at all.
Right. Yeah.
You're responsible for yourself and your own actions, and you are in control of yourself and your own actions.
You and giving you wisdom. So it's basically like asking someone to be your brain for you.
Yes,
While
while
you
you
don't
don't
have a
have
brain. It's so important. So don't underestimate that. Don't underestimate that power of outside wisdom. So ask someone to be your accountability partner. Ask someone to meet with you regularly during the relationship so that you can have that accountability.
And number 4, the most important one of all, don't neglect your personal relationship with God, now or later. But in order to really build a strong foundation now, we can't encourage you enough, and this really helped us in our lives as well.
You can't know the truth without knowing the truth. That makes perfect sense, right?
No. You can't know the truth lowercase.
You're
without
not
knowing the truth uppercase.
you're not gonna be grounded and walking in the Spirit if you're not in God's Word regularly and in prayer
shouldn't that
regularly.
be a given?
Yes, it should be, but it's also a good.
It's a good thing to
remember.
know, but I mean, I'm gonna be murdered by my family if I stop
What?
with my personal relationship with God. If I
Yeah, we'll murder you, sure.
I really don't know what that means. What? I don't know what that means. No, like if I'm
Self-accountability.
neglecting God, if I'm neglecting God, I'm gonna be murdered.
I don't know that I'd put it that way, but okay.
Okay, he's gonna be murdered. Okay, never mind.
Shh.
What?
When you have that strong walk with God and you're developing those personal convictions, that relationship with Him, you're praying with Him, you're desiring to honor Him in your life, in your motivations, in your actions, that is going to help you think so much more clearly, even when you're infatuated, because you can go back to the constant truth of God's Word. So even though your brains are kind of like, woo, like all over the map, you can get back to God's Word and say, okay, what does God's Word say? What does His constant truth tell me? And then you can realign your crazy emotions with His truth. So getting in God's Word now and later is so foundational. So those are 4 practical tips to help you think clearly when you're infatuated. These tips are really just to help you set yourself up for success. So down the road, when you're not thinking clearly, these tips will help you just think a little bit more clearly and help you surround yourself with wisdom, with God's truth, so that you can make wise decisions, even in the midst of total infatuation.
Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more from us, we post new videos every Wednesday, so you can subscribe to our channel below.
They wear a lot of makeup.
I do. Very white makeup.
Have you
Okay.
never heard of bronzer? Or is that...
That's evil. I couldn't find that video. I'm guessing I took it down. I'll look it up, but I'm guessing I took it down. So, my biggest concern with that whole video is that it really seems like your infatuation and your lack of a brain is an excuse. And I know that's not exactly what they were saying, but it is important to... that's kind of where they're going with it. Is
Right.
It's like, you know, you're not responsible for what you do because you're not thinking clearly. It's kind of like if you get drunk, you're now no longer responsible for what you do. No, it doesn't work that way. You're absolutely responsible if you're drunk for what you're doing. Same thing with when you're infatuated. There are some good things to note in there, you know, having accountability, being in God's Word, all that is important, but it doesn't negate the fact that you are the ultimate one who is responsible for your actions. That's my biggest thought on that video. Thanks for the addition.
That's so much pressure. I don't know. Yeah, the boundaries thing is good to write down boundaries, but it's not a one-sided deal. Some things are definitely non-negotiables, and that's what
And you shouldn't be in a relationship with somebody who's got different non-negotiables than you.
yeah. But a lot of boundaries are negotiable.
Yeah. I'm not gonna, yeah. You're not going to ruin a potentially good relationship over a little minute detail that I wrote down in a notepad 6 years ago.
But then again, this is talking about infatuation.
Yeah.
If you're still in the infatuations, I mean, you can still be infatuated when you're dating. But, like, I feel like infatuation is kind of the before your dating phase. That's the crush phase, and then you
Right.
get to dating, and so, like, if you're
And
gonna
it's still definitely
lay down
there, though,
boundaries, yeah. If you've got to lay down boundaries while you're still crushing on the dude, like, you need to get your priorities straight. You need to take a step back from guys.
Slow it down a little bit.
Dating goodbye.
Oh.
Alright, any other
Date
thoughts?
Jesus for a while.
Don't go there. Do not go there.
I love that.
Stop.
It's so bad.
Terrible. Okay, I think we're done.
Yeah.
Overall impression, the video was decent. They had some good advice in there. But also,
Overall, too boy crazy.
yes,
Like, just-
that's my impression of these girls, is that they're just very boy crazy. Of course,
I mean, I know
we're,
people like that.
we're kind of the opposite of boy crazy too, so we're the other end of the spectrum.
Right.
But hopefully you enjoyed that video. Let us know what you thought. If you want to see other reaction videos to other things, other YouTube channels, let us know. We think it's kind of a cool video format.
Yes, our one
that
watcher,
interests
you
us.
should let us know.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's it. I don't like my teeth.
Thanks for watching Sarcastic Living.
These outros are so awkward.
It gets so weird. Bye.
Just dating goodbye.
Stop.